Hey everyone, welcome to the latest installment of Discover the New Ritchie Brothers podcast. This is a series where we talk about, quite frankly, a lot of the new things that have been happening at Ritchie Brothers over the past couple of years. As many of you know, we've been transforming ourselves from a live auction company to a marketplace for goods and services and insights in the heavy equipment space. Today, we're going to talk about Ritchie Brothers Financial Services. With me today is Chris Quinn. He's Vice President of Sales and Marketing at RBFS. So welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Matt. Good to see you.
You're going to make it back up to Vancouver, I hope soon. So let's talk a little bit about RBFS. As many of you know, I'm new to the whole Ritchie Brothers thing. Well, maybe not so much anymore. It's been about 5 years. I came in through IronPlanet. But, my background is eBay. And when I look at RBFS, right, I see, by the way, for many of you who follow our analyst calls, it's one of our fastest growing businesses. I think they've had something like, high double digits, 20, 30 straight quarters of double digit growth, something like that. But when I look at RBFS and I think back to my eBay days, I think about one thing, and Chris knows it because I bring it up all the time. I think about PayPal, right? So when you have marketplaces, right? Marketplaces in general have friction, and one of the frictions is payments. And one of the things that RBFS has done, for us over the years is helped a lot of our buyers, right, pay for goods. Finance and pay for goods. We know that's an important part of the equipment marketplace. So we're going to talk about RBFS because not only do they help people pay for goods on RB, but they help in so many other ways. So Chris, let's jump right in. What finance trends have we seen over the past year or two throughout the pandemic?
Yeah, no, thanks, Matt. Great question. Overall, I think our customers are kind of telling us the same thing to 12 months prior versus 12 months ahead of that. And what they're really telling us is that we're continuing to provide an easy, convenient, and fast means of acquiring equipment when financing is needed. They really love our Purchase Flex and Lease Flex approvals, enabling them, as you mentioned, to acquire equipment through all of the Ritchie Brothers channels, but also through dealers or private sales. The one thing that kind of sets us apart is we're totally agnostic to manufacturer, and we support all industries. So it's really that notion of that one credit approval provides that customer with really a ton of different buying options. If I look at the kind of the customer segmentation of what we've seen over the last 12 months, we've really seen a large increase in the new customers that RBFS has been providing financing to, while also seeing a big spike in our repeat business as well. One of the measures that we look at very closely at RBFS is our customer net promoter score. And having achieved a score last year of 62, this is really high within our industry, especially working through the pandemic. So it's really an amazing score to achieve. And what it means to us is that customers like us. They like dealing with our team. They come back and use us time and time again. And most importantly, they'll refer us to a friend or colleague, which is a nice feather in the cap.
I know we've seen, once again, right, the pandemic has been a transition for everyone. It's been a transition for Ritchie Brothers. A lot of our business has gone online. You guys are online enabled, making that process easy because we know, as everybody knows right now, right, people are buying lots of equipment, and I know that you guys are making that easy for everyone. Ritchie Brothers Financial Services has more than $1 billion in open credit approvals. That's a huge number. But what does it mean for customers?
It is, Matt, and what I can say is that the RBFS team has amassed what I can find is maybe the largest pool of open credit approvals in the entire world of equipment financing space. So when we look around, I'm not sure if there's any other banks or lenders currently out there with this type of purchasing power and pent-up demand built up. On the demand side, it's sitting there, and what I would say is, with the pricing as strong as we've seen across many industries and many different markets, that incredible pool of built-up demand, I'd say this is probably a pretty good time to be thinking of maybe selling off some redundant equipment or maybe older pieces that customers might be looking to update or upgrade, because the $1 billion is there, and we've got customers hungry for equipment.
I mean, one of the trends we've seen on the sell side, right, quite frankly, is a lot of people are hey, if you've got a choice to retire a couple of years early, and you've got equity locked up in your equipment, now is obviously a good time to really, really think about that. We've seen this huge uptick in what we call, dispersal sales as all these Canadians look to head down to the sunny climes of Florida. What trends are you seeing from customers applying for financing?
What I'd say, and especially over the last, say, 12 months, is, while the availability of equipment remains somewhat scarce, we've seen a trend and really noticed that our buyers are looking to secure their financing approvals far earlier on in their typical buyer cycle than maybe they had in the past. I think that knowing this credit approval and having that in tow really gives them the confidence when negotiating a purchase, whether it's through a dealer or a private sale or any of our online marketplaces. The ability to approach a seller with a credit approval in hand definitely goes a long way to negotiating. The seller knows that the funds are there, and it really helps the seller get their minds wrapped around probably an expedited turnaround on the actual funding of that transaction. Some of the stuff that we look at very closely is, of course, our credit applications, and in that same period we're well up, probably to the tune of about 18% year over year. And some of the real key markets that we see some of this growth is definitely in transportation. We've seen a big spike, well over 30% in the number of applications we see through transportation. Construction still remains very heavy, about 21% growth. So a lot of our key industries that we serve are seeing big time growths from a credit application standpoint. One of the unique things, I guess, as well is looking at the approvals and our credit approvals. We're actually up, somewhere between 15 and 20%. So the actual amount of financing requests that the customer is seeking out for has definitely grown. And we think about that, and why that's important is, customers need more money to purchase equipment in the market that we're in today. So aligning the right approval definitely gives them, the ability to go and buy with that confidence of cash again. And I guess lastly, through the pandemic, one of the big concerns that we had was, how would the credit markets be affected? And there was some bumps and some bruises very on in the early days, going way back to 2020. But having worked through that, Ritchie Bros Financial Services is actually currently operating at an all-time historic high, approving over 85% of all the applications that we see. Wow. So we really have the ability to say yes more often than maybe some of our contemporaries or competitors out there in the market. So really happy to report that.
What are the top asset categories you finance? Has this changed over the years?
So we haven't really seen too many changes. Transportation and construction was always kind of our bread and butter, so to speak, at RBFS. And while some industries and some categories have been hit a little bit harder, maybe on the supply chain side of things, we've continued to see the big growth in long haul transportation, vocational assets being acquired, whether that's through transportation, local delivery companies, or construction companies looking to buy vocational pieces for their fleet. So ultimately, it's been relatively unchanged. What we're really looking forward to, as supply starts to become a little bit more readily available and the markets open up, is just continuing to support all these customers through all industries. And once it becomes a little easier for them to find and acquire the equipment they need, then hopefully we'll take a big dent out of that $1 billion and growing customer demand.
Have you seen a shift in the types of customers you're helping today?
Yeah, for sure, Matt. I'd say primarily over the last 12 months, we have seen an absolute meteoric type rise in the growth in our U.S. business. Canada has remained very strong and continues to grow, but definitely the U.S. volumes we're seeing are really kind of skyrocketing for us as a business. I'd say some of the primary reasons for that growth in the U.S. has a lot to do with our supply chain. We don't lend our own money to the market. We partner with all the top leading banks and equipment finance lenders and leasing companies. So really understanding our customer base and building out a supply chain that can support all customers across all industries, working with our current lenders to find more competitive rates innovative solutions that help us, compete against some of the big banks and lenders for that very valued business, for our customers' financing. Again, going back to just the fact that we like to think we can do it a little bit faster, a little bit more efficient, than some of the competitors. And really, it's that ability to fund those customers faster that gets that machine into the dirt or the wheels on the street a lot faster. From a credit standpoint, over the last 12 months, we've really seen growth in all markets. What makes us unique, again, I guess, is the ability that our customer base is a very diverse one, right? We support all industries, and within each industries, we see anything from, investment grade corporate, companies that might be looking to acquire a $1 million crane for their fleet, and we might be working on a deal like that, and at the exact same time, that account manager might be working on a $12,000 loan for a startup landscaping business. So we've really had to put forth, products and services that speak to a very diverse customer base, and we continue to see growth in all of those markets.
Yeah, it's one of the fascinating things about, RB as this marketplace business. As we've transitioned, as we've gone online, we've become more global, we've attracted, more diverse buyers and sellers. So once again, like, even on the sell side, we're talking about people who just, you don't have to be big to sell it with RB, right? And you don't have to be big to buy with RB. You don't have to be big to take advantage of some of these, types of offers. And, it's just really great to see, how kind of these technological changes are just enabling everyone. What are some of the most common customer questions you receive?
Great question. Like any lender or any bank, I'd say early on in the pandemic, we definitely fielded a lot of customers that were worried how, COVID-19 would affect their business, closures and different changes to industries and all the rest of it. But we kind of took the stance that it was our opportunity to work really closely with these customers and our lenders, to ensure that, whether the customer was seeking a payment deferral, restructuring of maybe a few different contracts to alleviate some of these stresses earlier on, we took a really customer first approach, and it really helped our customers and really helped our business kind of grow as well. And we learned a lot, and we pivoted from, a team of 150 or more on the sales side working out of our head office to, like many, all working remotely. And honestly, within 24 hours, we were up and running, and we went on without noticing anything too much on our end. Throughout the time, I think a lot of the customers asked for the similar type asks that they would pre-pandemic. Hey, can you continue to give me, no money down on my financing? Is the 120-day no pay option still applicable during these tougher times? And we worked very closely with our supply chain to ensure that our products and services basically went unwavered and unchanged during these challenging times. So we're really happy that we continue to support people through these challenging times. And one of the other big things I would say is our ability to offer very long terms on older assets definitely kind of sets us apart. Just the other day, actually, I was working on a deal with one of our fellow sales guys, and he approached me with it was like a 1980 drilling rig that we had, up for sale on one of our platforms, and said, yeah, I might have a challenge getting this one credit approved. It was, an $800,000 deal. What do I do here? Well, we were able to structure an approval with no money down and providing the customer a 5-year term to go and finance a piece of equipment that might actually be older than me. So it was a really interesting deal, but something that I really think we've built this business upon is just the ability for us to understand the equipment, understand how the customer is going to deploy that in the fleet, generate revenue, and we're far less concerned about maybe the years or the hours or the mileage than others. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I love stories. Once again, back to that comment I made about frictions and marketplaces and how we look to solve those, and that's a great story. And speaking of marketplaces, right? And speaking of you guys, I mean, you're one of the sort of, I don't want to call you a younger offering in the RB ecosystem, but you guys are, one of the newer kids on the block, and I know that you guys are incredibly entrepreneurial and innovative. and you're branching out, right? You're doing all sorts of new cool stuff. Are there new capabilities within RBFS customers should know about?
Yeah, one of the new products or services that Matt, you were very influential in helping us get off the ground, is our Purchase Safe product. So Purchase Safe transaction management is likely one of the biggest ones that if the customers haven't heard about it today, they likely will very quickly. Through Ritchie List and some of our other growth channels here. And what we did is we really used the backbone of Ritchie Brothers' 60 plus years experience, guaranteeing free and clear equipment, unencumbered of liens to the potential or the eventual buyer. And what we've kind of done is we've totally transformed the world of private sale equipment buying and financing. So through Purchase Safe, the buyer gets professionally documented invoicing. We handle all the search and waivers on both the assets and the seller, to ensure that they're getting a piece of equipment that makes sense for them. We handle the lien coordination. We pay out any direct debt, directly. So the buyer isn't wondering, hey, did the seller pay out this lien? Am I going to find myself into some potential trouble down the road? So we really make it a great experience for both buyer, seller, and if you're financing for our lending partners. So we've just kind of really started to dip our toe into this market, but really happy to report that last year we actually funded over $100 million in volume in North America by utilizing the Purchase Safe platform. And it really continues to grow this year. And we're going to start to expand that a little bit through Ritchie List and provide these services, whether the customer wants to use a third-party finance company, they want to pay cash or a line of credit, or hopefully they come to RBFS and secure approval with us. We're agnostic to where the funds come from, but the platform and the product is really set up to make sure it's a safe environment for the buyer.
Look, we don't need every transaction. We know people like to sell themselves, but we also know that once again, the processing those transactions, there's friction in those transactions as well. And if we can use our services and financing capabilities to make that a smoother purchase, we see a good business there, and it's growing nicely. Anything else about the pandemic that you're seeing? Maybe not necessarily buyers, but what about people who just own equipment today?
Yeah, no, that's a really, really great question, Matt. And the RBFS business typically has been set up to support CapEx financing. So customers going and acquiring an asset, revenue generating, and they prefer to finance, save their cash, have a low monthly payment. We all understand what that looks like. But definitely over the last 2 years, we've seen a rise in customers reaching out to their account manager and saying, hey, listen, I'm in a position where I need to refinance. I'd like to restructure some of my current debt, whether that's the deals that we've done through Ritchie Brothers Financial Services or deals that they might have done through other direct channels or OEM financing, et cetera. But we've definitely seen a growth and an opportunity to support customers looking to refinance their fleet, lower their monthly payment obligations, insert working capital into their business by using the equity and free and clear equipment or equipment where there's enough upside where we can maybe pay out the current debt and there's enough left over. So that is definitely, I'd say, one of the next areas of growth for RBFS, and it provides just another service and another solution to customers that we can really become more of a trusted advisor and provide them with more options to either help grow their fleet or help keep their fleet or help sell off some redundant assets when they might be underwater on a certain package or a certain portion of their fleet. But by way of refinancing and re-engineering that balance sheet, we can leverage some of that equity to help them transition out of that redundant gear and focus on the equipment that they wish to keep and extend those terms. So yeah, I'd say probably the next time we have this type of call, I'll probably have a lot of really good news to report on our refinancing space.
No, that's awesome, and I love the way you guys are, continuing to bring new innovative solutions to the market. Well, cool. Thanks, Chris. Today, incredible story here. Lots of capabilities, by the way, for folks out there who. Once again, I know a lot of people think of us as just a live auction company, but there's some amazing growth here, some amazing solutions to help you, in your day-to-day business, as we mentioned, not only when you're just buying and selling, but, when you're running your business as well. So Chris, thanks again today. Good luck with everything. And, to everybody out there, continue to stay safe. I know we're kind of coming out of it. It's great to get out and about. Seeing people in Orlando was awesome. Looking forward to, seeing some folks in Edmonton. We're going to be live there. So once again, stay safe and thanks for tuning in. Talk to you.